Tony D and Little Joan with a screenwriter's rant on Queer, starring Daniel Craig, based on the William Burroughs novel of the same name, short novel, about a man in love with another man in Mexico City in the 1950s. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books. The links are in the description. Comedy Horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys, books 1 through 16. Available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. So, before I get into this, let me state right up front, because I get comments. I have nothing against gay people. I'm analyzing the trailer and the movie from what I could see of it. Is it a viable movie? Is it a good trailer? From that perspective. So, William Burroughs was a heroin addict, and he was also a novelist, and he was also gay. So, this is about his experiences post-heroin addiction, and he's off heroin at this point in his life, but he falls in love with this young Navy officer and sort of pursues him kind of relentlessly. And it's about a gay romance. And it's also William Burroughs, so he is kind of a weird guy. A screenplay by Justin Kuritsky. And I forget the director's name. You see there's a lot of naked dudes in this, or semi-naked. And it takes place, it's a period piece. And it's James Bond. James Bond being a gay guy. So, it's not really James Bond. Oh, there's the director's name somewhere in there. Somewhere in that mix, you got the director. So, I don't have anything against gay people or gay people in my family. They're fine. I don't care. This isn't about them. It's about a movie and whether or not it's viable. William Burroughs always appealed to kind of an obscure audience, I would say. You know, over the years, he's like a lot of authors from that period who were very edgy. His work is sort of romanticized. I'm a big fan of Hunter S. Thompson, and it's sort of a similar deal with him. And so there's nothing wrong with the story, per se. It's just not going to be a broadly appealing movie. And look, I'll tell you up front, I don't like dramas for the most part. I definitely don't like romances. And I don't want to see naked dudes in my movie. I just don't want to see that. I'm straight. If it was two hot women, well, you might have something there for me. But it's not. And so I'm not sure what the audience is. Okay? Because, you know, there are, yeah, you could say, well, gay men. Not necessarily. I mean, there are plenty of gay men who are just like regular dudes. They like sports and action movies and zombies and video games. They probably have very little interest in this movie, too. Maybe you get some women because they're hot guys in it. I think it's, though, Hollywood trying to do everything they can to show how virtuous they are by, you know, doing stuff about gay guys. Now, if you had done this movie 20 years ago, it probably would have been interesting because our media and our movies weren't choked with one gay project after the next. Now it's a different thing. This sort of stuff has been pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed on people. I think people are sick of it, just in general. You know, there's representation, and then there's over-representation. And unfortunately, although this movie seems to be well shot, and Daniel Craig's not the worst actor in the world, you know, it's a nice period piece. It looks luxurious. It's a wrong time for this to come out, is what it boils down to. I mean, it's already a smaller audience. And that's just the bottom line. There are not a lot of people who are going to go see a gay romance. With more of a straight romance, that's more universal because there are more straight people than gay people, number one. And even straight people understand the dynamics of a straight romance because they've often had to, before they came out, attempt to navigate those waters, right? And then eventually they realize, oh, this isn't working for me because I like dudes. And then they go to the other team. But before that, they try to understand the dynamics of it. So when you put out a movie about a straight couple getting together, they can understand the dynamic. And that's more classic. And everybody kind of likes a classic. This is harder for people to get into, I think, because there are different rules. And there's this idea in Hollywood, again, romanticizing the past. It's kind of a bad thing to do, but Hollywood does it all the time. Everything in the past gets sort of shot up to 11 in terms of its drama. Now, were there problems with being gay in the 50s? Oh, absolutely. These guys were in the closet. They kept it on the down low. But did most people even care? No. Most people just didn't care. Because in the 50s, we lived in a world in which most people minded their own damn business. And they had a consideration for the people around them, right? You can't go into a store these days without some woman and her stupid kid having a meltdown in the store, and you got to endure it because she can't get her kid in line. Something like that in the 50s, oh, that would have never happened. The woman would have been absolutely mortified, disciplined her kid, and apologized to everyone going out of the store. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. Timmy is getting his mouth washed out with soap when we get home. That was that era. So, most people didn't care what you do as long as you didn't bother them. But yeah, there was some problems. Usually, again, with insecure people. Insecure people like to cancel other people in order to make themselves feel good. So yeah, you might have had a situation in a restaurant where some Karen notices two guys a little too chummy and then calls over the waiter and then the manager and demands that they be kicked out because she thinks they're gay, even though she has no proof of that, even though she's not the gay police or the restaurant police. Oh, absolutely. That kind of stuff happened all the time, I'm sure. But it was rare. Hollywood takes that and accentuates it like there were roving patrols of anti-gay cops just looking to beat them up. It was just a different world. And will Hollywood project that? Probably not. It'll probably be over dramatized. And they're touting this as Oscar bait. Because, again, that's what they do. The studios pick and choose their projects that they think people should acknowledge as art, rather than letting the public go, ooh, this is art, or ooh, this is really good. And then once in a while, something so insanely popular just breaks through, and then Hollywood goes, well, we gotta have to acknowledge this movie because everybody seems to like it for some reason. And this is why Hollywood is the way it is. And this is artists also indulging their various indulgencies, right? So I indulge myself digging into South Jersey folklore and all the various stories. Some people might read it and go, oh, this is awesome. And others might read it and go, I don't really get this. What is this obsession with this? In Hollywood, the current obsession is anybody in the rainbow community and anybody in a marginalized group. Kind of has always been that way for, say, at least 50, 60 years. And there's nothing wrong about going down a rabbit hole and seeing a different world. And it is a different world for gay guys in the 50s on the down low trying to meet people. It's obviously very difficult because of that particular society. But will they project the society the way it was, that most people just really didn't care as long as you stuck to your own deal? Maybe. They might. Will anybody care? Well, I don't know. Period piece in the 1950s might as well be in the 1700s at this point. You're talking about anybody alive during that era who would have been cognizant enough to understand the subtleties of this. They're probably too old to be an audience. You know, they would be in their 80s, 90s. And that's pretty old for an audience. So you might as well put this in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 1700s. It don't matter. Most of the audience that would have remembered this era are gone. So the only thing that can appeal are the universal themes, and those universal themes kind of only apply to people who understand the dynamic of a gay relationship. For people in straight relationships, they kind of understand some of it, but they're not going to understand all the subtleties. Are they interested in it? Well, I'm a movie guy, but yeah, no, I don't really want to see it. I mean, if somebody was really raved about it and said, you got to see this movie, it's amazing, well, maybe I'd go see it from a cinematic standpoint, but, you know, I'd probably be bored to tears. Just because it's a drama and a romance. And you really got to go a long way to get me involved in a drama and a romance. True romance is my kind of romance. So, you know, it's a small audience. And Hollywood loves to make movies for a small audience, and then when nobody goes and sees the movie, they go, oh my God, the audience is the problem. So are they going to scream that everybody's a homophobe just because they didn't go see Queer? They might. It's just I would say it's the wrong time to release a movie like this. Maybe after 20 years, after everybody in the rainbow community settles down and goes back to a level of normalcy we used to see in the early 2000s, where everybody was just like, oh, you're gay? Oh, okay, cool. Whatever. We can then, you know, once in a while have a movie like this. Because, again, it's over-representation. The everything's just choked with this kind of stuff. So it's just going to get lost in the mix. It seems to be an okay trailer, I guess, for a romance. First act, William Borroughs is probably in Mexico City. He's just recovered from heroin use for some reason. Trying to get his life together. Spots a young man who he likes and tries to get his attention. Doesn't quite work at first. Embarrasses himself maybe. Eventually, after a couple of attempts, he gets to talk to him, and they have a whirlwind romance. And then third act, it falls apart probably because he's older and he's younger. And after a while, I don't know, a young dude is going to get bored of him and go after a younger dude. I would say. Or they just, for whatever reason, part ways. One of them leaves Mexico City and the other gets bummed out about it. Probably Borroughs. He's kind of a depressing figure, I would say. So, yeah. I mean, if you want to see that kind of movie, I'm sure this will be executed competently. It looks competent. But you got to have the initial desire to see a movie like this. And I don't think a lot of audience wants... There's an audience for it, but it's very small. It's very small. It's going to be cinemaphiles, you know, and people... It's going to be... A part of it's going to be people... There's this idea that, you know, somebody who's gay feels probably some obligation to support a gay movie, let's say. Okay, But that's not a real reason to go see a movie. A reason to go see a movie is it's interesting, and you want to go see it and you'll be entertained by it. Now, is this interesting? It doesn't look interesting to me. I mean, maybe a little bit, but it's not my cup of tea. So I would put it so far down on the list, unless some outside force gave me a reason to see it. Probably never going to see it. Maybe if I go through a William Burroughs phase and I decide to watch all the movies based on his books or something, or maybe I read the book and then I say, well, let me see what the movie did. But I don't have that kind of time. And most people don't. Most people want to be entertained. They want to see something that, is going to be right in their wheelhouse. And this is a very tiny sliver of people who it's going to be right in their wheelhouse. A very tiny sliver of people who say, oh, I would love to see a movie about two gay guys falling in love in the 50s in Mexico City. That's a pretty tight slice of the audience pie. So, this will come out. It'll do a little bit of business. Then they'll probably nominate it for an Oscar. And then they'll re-release it in like February and try to get everybody to watch it, because they'll say, oh, this is art. You missed art. It came out. You didn't go see it. See some art. And, and then maybe people go see it. I don't know. But anyhow, let's see the write-up. From Academy Award-winning director Luca Guadagnino, written by Justin Kuritzkis, based on the novel by William S. Burroughs, starring Daniel Craig, Drew Starkey, Leslie Manville, and Jason Schwartzman. I didn't see him in the mix. In theaters. They don't have a synopsis. Yeah, you need a better synopsis than that, I would say. You can't just hang it on William Burroughs' novel. Here we go. Lee, who recounts his life in Mexico City amongst the American expatriate college student and bar owners surviving on part-time jobs and GI benefits. He is driven to pursue a young man named Allerton, who is based on Adelbert Lewis Marker, and that was boyfriend of what's the name, William S. Burroughs. So there you go. I probably won't go see it. I'm gonna go back and watch the rest of the Rogan Trump interview. Anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D, and Little Joan. What's coming up today? Nothing's going on today. I'm going bowling, as I said. The book is out. Book 16 of the Pineys. Both the paperback and the Kindle is now available. I'm going to order some copies today. Tomorrow I'll be at Bright View. It's a senior place in Woodbury at 2:30 for my talk on how to hunt the Jersey Devil. Then on Halloween, I'll be at Level Up Entertainment from 12 to 4. And that's going to be fun. There'll be a lot of trick-or-treaters. And then on Friday, I will be in Chatsworth at Busby's General Store and Eatery for Pasta Night with the Jersey Devil, 6 to 8. You must have reservations to attend. So please call now and get your seats. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one.